Hi, welcome to What's the Word? I'm your host, Jaime McFaden, and I'm so excited to have you here. This podcast is about all things wellness. Each week, we will focus on a word of the day, and I interview some of the most inspirational people I know and share that inspiration with you. Join me, let's learn together on What's the Word.
This is the place where I belong.
So hi, and welcome back to What's the Word? I'm your host, Jaime McFaden, and this podcast is about all things wellness related. Each week, we'll focus on a word of the day, and to kick things off today, our word is patience, which is the capacity to accept or tolerate delay, trouble, or suffering without getting angry or upset. I'm going to be interviewing one of my girlfriends who just happens to be the star on the hit Netflix reality show Love is Blind. She's an amazing mindset coach and mentor, Miss Kelly Chase. Hey girl, how you doing? I'm so happy
to be here. Thank you.
So happy to have you on today. I just want to thank you for making time to be here, but also to catch up with me a little bit on my show. We're going to kick this off by talking about the word of the day. So I asked you about a word that was something you were feeling, something that was really, triggering things inside of you. And you said the word patient. You knew it right away. So I want to know, and we all want to know, what does patient or patience mean to you today?
Yes. So patience has been like a buzzword of mine for the last couple of months. I think just bringing more awareness to where I'm not being patient has helped, like in every situation with like dating and relationships, to my business, to my career, every single thing, my health journey itself. It's like every single thing I'm like, when I start to like get a little overwhelmed or a little anxious or just stressed out in a situation or frustrated because things aren't going the way I want them to, it's like, okay, Kelly, patience. How can it be used right now? And that's it. It's like, it's almost like when you're not doing it, that's when the patience is obviously needed the most.
Yeah, it's true. It's like when you're feeling impatient, or like, it's kind of like The Secret, right? Where it's like the power of the law of attraction, where it's like, if all of a sudden you're running late, then you all of a sudden can't find your keys, you're all frazzled, stressed out, then you hit every red light, then, you're just a mess. And then you're even more late because it's what you're focusing on. And really, if you could have just been a little, not you, but us, if we could just be a little more patient, right? Yeah. Things tend to work themselves out. So now with that word patient, I think it's something that all of us, I've heard my grandparents, my great-grandparents, my parents, have always said, like, learn to be patient. Patience is a virtue, right? And the older I get, the more I learn that to be true. Is there anything that you can share with our audience today about being patient and about potentially, how you can work on being more patient? Because it's hard.
Yeah, it is. It is very hard. And a lot of times, the one thing that really stuck out for me as to why this whole like word became my thing over the last few months is because I finally like heard my mom say, "You're so impatient, just like your father." Although she has said this for my entire life, it's like I finally heard it and I was like, I don't want to be identified as that anymore. Like, I am in a completely different headspace. Like, I can change that. Everybody has the power to change anything that they don't want to be anymore. Like, you're a procrastinator. Well, stop procrastinating. Like, change your behaviors. Stop doing it. So there's so many different ways that you can do it. And that's why obviously I became a mindset coach, because I can help bring awareness to when I'm doing something that I don't love, and I can change it and shift it. So to help others in that regard too, I practice these like savers every morning. It's a whole, like, whether it's 5 minutes to an hour, I spend that time for me and only for me. And it's journaling and bringing awareness to things like, and those behaviors, that aren't serving me, how I can change and shift, and where in my life am I like exhibiting this same behavior in other areas. Like, it's not just, okay, I'm not just patient about my relationships. I'm not just impatient about my relationships. I'm being impatient with maybe something with my business and with my health, as I was saying. So it pops up in other areas of your life too. And so bringing awareness to that by journaling out your thoughts is like one of my best methods, because it's not like the thoughts are just here. You're actually seeing them now and you're like, oh, I got it. It's like a diagram.
Right. Right. Then it becomes visual so you actually can see it and it's not just stuck in here.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so
That's definitely.
so journaling to bring awareness to the kind of maybe triggers or behaviors or habits that and this is what I want people to think about is take a moment right now, everybody that's listening, to think about possibly some ways that you yourself have been impatient with something or someone recently, and what are some things that you can do. So now, Kelly, let's say someone goes today and journals and like, okay, well, I know what I'm impatient about. I'm irritated about this and I'm, stressed about that. Like maybe you identify it, but then what?
Yeah, no, it's really honing in on, okay, so you bring awareness to it, and let's say, again, let's go to like dating, just because I'm in that world right now. With dating, like you're really just impatient. You want that person, you want a companion, you want to find love and everything like that. And like, everyone says, oh, when you stop looking, it'll happen. We all hear that. Yeah, maybe it's true, because it's not the fact that you're not looking, it's because you're focused on something else, obviously, but you are creating that space to be open to receive love, versus when you are constantly like searching for it, you're just this needy little like squirrel that's like constantly like spinning its wheels on the hamster wheel. Like you're like, oh my God, like I need this, I need this, I need this. And it's like, once you can like open yourself up to just surrender, that was another word of mine for this last year, but opening yourself up to just surrendering to like the possibilities of things happening. And yes, it sounds woo, and it's, not like a tangible thing necessarily for you to do, but again, just like bringing awareness to it is like what is so key. So doing the journaling, taking time for yourself always, because when you're sitting with your thoughts versus maybe, I mean, yeah, you can have conversations with other people, but obviously if you're like going on dates and you're not, I don't know, you can get out of sorts if you like lose yourself in the dating process, if you're not really like being patient with the dating process and
Right.
like enjoying the journey, enjoying the process of everything. So really finding the pleasure in what you're doing and not trying to get to like the end result every time.
Something you just said, it's so simple yet so profound, and we've heard it, all of us have heard this probably our entire lives, of it's not really about the destination, but it's about enjoying the journey and finding a way to enjoy the journey. And the journey isn't always, this beautiful pathway that we visualize. Sometimes it goes different than we expect. And so I think being able to, just like you're saying, bring the awareness to those things, like those roadblocks we continue to hit or whatever it is, and maybe do a little bit of self-reflection on, is there something that I'm continuing to do that's maybe continuing to lead me on this same path? Like I keep hitting the same wall. Sometimes I found when I'm impatient with something and I don't know why it's happening or not happening, and take that moment, like you said, and do some reflection and do some journaling and some bringing some awareness to it, then I do feel like you can open up that space to go, oh, you look back later and go, well, yeah, now I get why I wasn't getting it. And now I get why it wasn't working then, But sometimes it takes, and that's part of the journey. So I think, like you said, that one of the biggest things is really just for any of us, anyone that's on here right now listening, is to find ways to enjoy the journey, even if we're not where we want to be yet or where we're expecting we should be, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
That kind of, stay on your own path. What you just said about like should, where you should be in life. It's like, all right, I'm 35. Yeah, my parents wanted grandchildren 10 years ago, but that didn't happen. Like it is what it is. Like I'm on my own journey, and we have to be patient with our own journey. Don't let outside influences affect us either. It's like, just enjoy where you're at, because everybody's different. Just like with your health, like everybody is different. That's why no one diet works for everybody. Like be on your own journey and be patient and just enjoy it. And yeah, and it's kind of like, recognize the red flags in dating or whatever situation you're in. Recognize those red flags as like, it's almost like a game, okay, I hit this roadblock. Okay, how am I gonna like make another play so that it's like a better avenue for me, instead of hitting the red flag, instead of like hitting that red flag and being like, oh, and just like making an excuse for the behavior or something, like, oh, it was just that. And then like you continue to be like submissive and accept low accountability behaviors, like all that stuff, it's because you do, it's like you dismiss a lot of the red flags because you're being so impatient on what you want. And it's like,
Right. So I think now you just brought something up that it just triggered a light bulb moment. And thank you, because no, really, I think sometimes for us just to actually sit back and listen to ourselves is part of the patient drill, right? Like we think we know what we want. Then we have all the outside influences telling us what we're supposed to be doing or where we're supposed to be at what time and how we're supposed to get there or whatever else it is. And then maybe it doesn't happen that way. So then you end up accepting things that are unacceptable because you're then being so impatient. So how have you found, Kelly, this year specifically? Obviously, this has been a big year in good ways, bad ways, all the different ways for all of us. But for you specifically, how has, doing these exercises and learning to be more patient and learning to accept who you are, where you are, like that's not necessarily an easy thing either, because sometimes people can say, oh, well, sounds great to say enjoy the journey, but I'm miserable or I don't like it. Like, so do you have any good tips? Because obviously I've known you for years now, and you've always been a light in the world and a very positive influence. And I'm so thankful for that. And if there's any other thing that you can kind of share to someone that's listening about, even if you aren't where you want to be, or even if things just don't feel so great right now, like how do you get that motivation to kind of keep being patient when you're just over it?
yeah, no, absolutely. I honestly, it's honing into the other areas of your life that you're not actually honing in on. Like, okay, you're giving so much of yourself to like your business or your career or your relationships. Well, okay, let's say it's your relationships. Well, how is your career, or how is your business, or how's your health going, how's your financial situation? Like, what are you like, where are you not showing up in life? And instead of like continuing that neediness in the area that you really want to make happen, shift that energy to where you're not showing up, because you have to create the balance. Everything in life needs the balance. So shift your energy to another area of life and really do that. Like, your self-care is so important, obviously, as well. So, I mean, if you're not taking that time for yourself, not going for like a daily walk or exercising or taking a Epsom salt bath, like whatever the case may be,
Right.
really just shift that energy to like you and where in else in your life you need to be showing up in a better way.
I love that. I mean, that's ultimately the overall goal of this entire podcast and why I decided to create it, because I feel so many times people say, well, I'm working out so much and I'm eating so healthy and I'm doing this, but then all these other areas of their life get completely neglected. And I myself, I think that that's part of the human condition. We all have that, right? Where we put a lot of energy into certain areas and then other areas maybe not so much. And then those areas we're like, well, wait, why is this not working? What's happening? Sometimes I think so. I think a big thing with what we're talking about today with patience, and just kind of to wrap it all up, is that, taking a step back sometimes, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like being able to take this step back and say, okay, let's reflect a little bit on who I am, what I want, and kind of drown out any sort of outside noises and just find that way to be true to ourselves. Because I think at the end of the day, the answers are within.
Yeah,
And a lot of the times we're not listening because we're impatient. Like, but I want it right now. Oh my gosh. Well, I love it. So, okay, so let's wrap up the tips, and then I want to just do a quick chit chat with you. So, tips you would say for being patient, and correct me if I'm wrong, but taking time for self-care, making sure that you're taking care of yourself in any ways that you can. So everybody make sure to take some time today. Write down, what are you doing to take care of yourself? It doesn't have to be a big indulgent thing like go to get a massage or whatnot. You could literally take 5 minutes to read a chapter in a great book. So taking time for yourself, taking a step back to journal and bring awareness to where you maybe are being impatient, or maybe where you need to be kind of shifting your energy. And Kelly, what were the other tips that you would say?
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty much it. I mean, just,
Yeah.
I think your self-care and when you start honing more in on yourself, that is when you start to strengthen and build your self-awareness muscle anyway. So you'll
Right.
start to like figure out like, oh, okay. And your setbacks will happen more often as you like to yourself. So like you'll really discover who you are, who you're wanting to be, all that, as you like hone in on yourself. Self-love, self-worth, it's like the foundation to everything. So if you can like really take that time for you, like I said, maybe it's only 5 minutes, but that 5 minutes Nobody else is in your picture. Like it's you and you time, me time, whatever. Like just do you for that 5 minutes to an hour, whatever it is.
Right.
And yeah, and you have to bring that awareness to things that are not serving you. And it will be easier to let things go, to pivot, to transition into.
Right. Yeah. Once you're aware of it, it's easier to go, okay, maybe that's not where I need to be putting my energy. So, okay. I love that. So hopefully you all have gotten some good tidbits from Kelly on having more patience in your life. And now, Kelly, what are you working on right now? Because post show, obviously I know you have a lot of awesome, fun things going on that I've seen and been a part of. So what are you working on right now that you can share with anybody that's listening?
Yeah. So I have a Facebook group. It's completely like free, but private community, where I will be doing like hot seat live coaching calls coming up like every 2 weeks.
Okay.
From now until December. Super excited about that. That way, like people can experience my coaching, firsthand, and, so more so of who I'm helping to shift the mindsets for the women entrepreneurs who are, in the online space already, maybe network marketing, maybe a health coach, that kind of thing. So just really helping them to like overcome their fears and limiting beliefs, because that's a lot that happens. Like business is not just strategy alone. It is like 100% your mindset. Like we really have to get our mindset in a really good place for that strategy to be backed, more or less. So, so I want to just give people a little glimpse of how I coach. So in the future, if they did want to sign up and do one-on-ones or my future coaching programs, then they at least have a little, spotlight on how I do things.
I love that. And then will you share that with me later so that I can share it with anybody that's listening? Okay, great. So definitely the Facebook group. And then what is your website? Is it Chase Life with Kelly?
Well, it's under construction right now, so it's
okay.
Chase Life with Kelly is my Facebook group.
Where, obviously you have, I feel like 1 million followers.
Yeah, on Instagram.
Yeah, you can find Kelly on Instagram, and she has an incredible following, and she daily gives so much inspiration and so much light. So be sure to check her out on Instagram. And then is there anything else that you wanted to kind of chat about before we wrap this up, my friend?
Right now is a very challenging time, I think, in this world, and that patience is going to come really, it's much needed for everybody. A lot of people have asked me, like, giving them like dating advice and that kind of thing. And I'm like, you know what, maybe right now is not the best time to be dating, like maybe it's time to just date yourself for a few months. And I'm huge on self-love and the self-care stuff. And most of us neglect that part of us and part of our life. So if we can at least, maybe make a commitment for your September or October, like just do like a self-care September or something.
Self-care September, everybody. Kelly Chase just said it. Self-care September. Let's do it. I'm in. Let's do it. I love it. Well, on that note, speaking of self-care September, can we do a workout together again soon?
Yes, let's do it.
Yay. Okay, great. Well, Kelly, I want to say thank you so much for taking this time to be here with me, to share this information with everybody that's listening, to give your support and love, because ultimately that is what you continuously do so well. And for that, I am so thankful for you, for our friendship. And for anybody else that's listening, please make sure, follow Kelly. I will add a link so you guys can check out her Facebook group, and make sure to give yourself some self-care September, some love and kindness and patience. And Kelly, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
So everybody, that is our episode of What's the Word. Tune in next week and we will see you soon. Have a good one. Thank you for joining me here at What's the Word. Follow us on social media with the links on the screen, and don't forget to like and share with your friend. Your support helps us grow and continue to make inspirational content. See you next time on What's the Word.